I'm Allison from Learning at the Primary Pond. I'm a literacy specialist, and in this video, I'm going to dive into the role that phonics has in reading instruction and learning to read. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure to do that now, and then also hit the little bell so that you're notified every time I post a brand new video about teaching literacy in K2. Okay, so I want to start with a statistic that is interesting but also concerning. Research has found that around 95% of students, people in the world, are capable of learning to read, which is amazing news. However, there was a 2019 report that indicated that only around 79% of adults in the United States have sufficient literacy skills. And we're not talking that they can read like medical level, college level text, just sufficient literacy skills to, do everyday tasks like going to the grocery store, right? So not great, right? There's a mismatch. And in this video, we're going to dig into why some of that mismatch is probably happening between, 95% of people can read and only 79% of adults in the US at that time anyway had sufficient literacy skills. So question for you though, have you worked with any students, or do you work with any students right now who, for whatever reason, reading just isn't clicking? Let me know yes in the comments if you do have some students that are just really struggling with reading. Okay, so whether we're talking about students in your class or, adults who have low literacy skills, either way, struggling readers tend to have deficiencies in phonics and phonological awareness. That's not the only reason why someone might struggle with reading, but often it is one of those underlying issues, or both of those underlying issues. Now, phonics, of course, is understanding the relationships between letters and sounds. So it could be like the letter M can represent the sound, or the vowel team EE can represent the E sound, right? Letters, sounds. And there's two parts of the brain, well, there's multiple parts of the brain, but two of the parts of the brain that facilitate reading are the phonological processor, which processes sounds in words like spoken sounds, nothing to do with the letters, and then the orthographic processor, which is processing like physical letters on the page, right? Like this is the shape of the letter M, right? So recognizing the letter M. Now, most people are born with both parts of the brain intact, right? And they're functioning, but no one is born with the phonological assembly region up and functioning. And so what the phonological assembly region is this part of the brain where neural pathways are being formed between the phonological processor, which again processes the sounds and words, and the orthographic processor, which is processing like the physical letters, like what they look like, right? So when we're teaching phonics, this is so cool, but we are actually building up neural pathways in our students' brains in the phonological assembly region. We're merging letters and sounds, right? Our brains weren't designed, we weren't born knowing how to do this. It has to happen through instruction. Okay, so we've been talking about phonics, but knowing phonics and actually being able to read are, of course, two different things. For example, if a child knows the sounds for the letters P, E, and T, they know those sounds, they may or may not be able to read the word pet, right? So there's phonics, but there's also the phonological awareness skill of being able to blend the sounds, pet, to actually make the word pet. So that is important as well. Now, when we're teaching kids to read, they, more or less, they may not be progressing along at the same pace, but they more or less are learning groups of skills in a relatively predictable order. So like they're not going to, be learning long vowel sounds before they've even mastered like the basic consonant sounds. Like it just doesn't work like that. So of course what you need is some type of scope and sequence where, you're guiding them through, and this depends on what grade you're teaching, right? But you're guiding them through the, consonant sounds, the short vowel sounds. You're guiding them through digraphs and blends all the way up to silent E words and other long vowel spelling patterns, multisyllabic words, diphthongs, all of that, right? I'll see if we can include a link for a scope and sequence, or a way for you to get a free scope and sequence. in the text that goes along with this video, by the way, but this is just one example of a phonics scope and sequence, right? So this is important, and as students, go along this progression and they learn more and more phonics skills, their fluency is typically going to improve. So reading fluency is just the ability to read, at a good pace, accurately, typically with good expression, phrasing, all of that. So for students' fluency to improve, they need to have this good phonics foundation, right? Now, you don't have to have perfect phonics knowledge to have good fluency, but you can't have good fluency if you have terrible phonics knowledge, right? It doesn't work like that. That's not how the brain reads. So anyway, as we build phonics knowledge, then we increase their reading fluency. Now, as reading fluency becomes better, typically comprehension is also going to improve, because if kids are reading disfluently, like they're reading very slowly, they're making lots of mistakes, then their working memory is not going to be freed up to comprehend the text. Might they comprehend some of it? Yes. But if they're focusing so hard on just figuring out the words and the reading's not very fluent, then likely their comprehension is not going to be as good as it is if they're reading a text fluently. So as you can see in this progression, this is a simplified version, right? Like things can come in and mess with this. Like it's not like, oh, we've got phonics and so therefore fluency, yes, comprehension, yes. Like for some kids that it works like that. For other kids, it doesn't. There's also language comprehension, vocabulary knowledge, background knowledge that plays into comprehension, but we're not going to go too far down that rabbit hole today. I just want to share this with you so that you can kind of see how phonics knowledge builds the other areas that are important for kids to ultimately comprehend the text, which is, of course, the whole point of reading. So as you can see, we cannot neglect phonics instruction. Even if you teach an older grade and the kids are mostly working on comprehension, we still have to go back for those kids who need it and work on phonics so that we can build fluency, and then they'll be able to comprehend the text at grade level. If you would like a free phonics scope and sequence like I was showing earlier, and in addition to that, some actual phonics lessons for you to try out, got them for kindergarten, first, and second grade, I will include a link with this video so that you can get access to that. Again, all of that is totally free. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.